Hi, I'm John Sutherland. I'm a game writer for Microsoft Game Studios, and you're watching Inside Xbox.
Now, we all watch movies or play games, and sometimes we have games that are based on movies. Now, they're pretty much the same, right? Wrong. We talked to John Sutherland, a games writer who has worked on Mass Effect, Alan Wake, and more, about the differences between writing for a game and a movie, and why storytelling is key to making a great game.
Movies and games are very different things. They look alike in some ways, but the way you build the story is tremendously different. In a movie, you can plan out everything that everyone is going to say, and in a game, you really have to at least give the illusion that the player is making some choices.
We need a leader, and surround them with the brightest, the toughest, the deadliest allies we can find.
Game designers and writers just have to be like this all the time from the very beginning. When you're writing a movie, a screenwriter can sit around for a couple of months doing a lot of work by himself. With a game writing experience, you have to be in with the game designers, the artists, the producers, and you all have to deal with the mechanics of how you're moving the story forward.
One way to keep the gamer engaged is with a great story, and a great story involves some type of conflict.
Well, the best way to explain how conflict works in storytelling is actually to imagine a situation without conflict.
So, you must be silenced.
If you imagine a situation in which everything is fine and someone's sitting around reading a magazine and nothing happens, nobody wants to watch that. Conflict is the engine that drives story forward. It's been true in epic poetry of several thousand years ago, it's true in movies, it's true in games.
We trade one villain for another.
But storytelling, especially in video games, has evolved, and how stories are told today is different than how it used to be.
This is where the story really begins.
The general rule of storytelling for generations has been show, don't tell. We want to dramatize things rather than just talk about them. That's kind of common sense with storytelling. Now, the layer you add with games is you want people to do things, first of all. If you can't have them do it, then you show it to them, then you tell them as a third choice. Getting people to take control of the story in a way that's still satisfying from a storytelling point of view is an interesting challenge.
A good example of that is Mass Effect, a game that John had worked on years ago.
We're at war.
Mass Effect, I think, was a good example of that. You got to go through all sorts of worlds and really self-select the path and how varied that would be and how detailed that would be. And the player got to make a lot of choices. And incidentally, it is a game that's set up so that it's moving along where a person can watch someone else play it and it's still entertaining. That was another big advance. Watching one person play it, you're going to have one experience, and watching someone else play the same game is going to be a completely different experience. And that's one of the beautiful things about games. And I think the more we understand about how stories work, that it's not just words, that it's about action, that it's about conflict, and that conflict is a more complex thing than people realize, I think that's when we're going to make these games into the big story form that they have the potential to be.